Equity has been a major issue with schools to deal with pretty much as soon as the ruling of Brown versus the Board of Education was made. Yes, the issue of equality and separate not being equal was addressed, but that gave birth to the problem of access and education. Adding technology to the equation has added a whole new element of complications. As more research emerges linking technology to student engagement and the decreased dropout rates, the stakes get higher and the consequences for students with diminished access to technology grow more drastic. So the million-dollar question out there is, what can we do as educators to assure that the infusion of technology in our educational system, which is a good thing, doesn't widen the equity gap for our students, which is a bad thing? So what I would like to focus on today are 3 specific opportunities we should take to close the equity gap with our technology in our educational settings.
Many of us have seen this picture before. It's a simple picture illustrating the difference between equality and equity. When looking at the picture on the left in terms of technology, the boxes used can be seen as a laptop computer. The student on the left already had a computer and knew how to use it. He now has another computer. The student in the middle knew how to use a computer but didn't have one before. Now he has one. The student on the right didn't know how to use a computer before and didn't own one. Now he has access to one. Big problem though, he still doesn't know how to use it. Confusing? Well, that's the point. So as you can see, every student has different needs, and simply giving them the same technology, whether it's hardware or software, doesn't always meet the needs for all of our students. Preparing all students to meet 21st century expectations requires a commitment to allocate sufficient access, training, and proper use of technology as we navigate through the digital age at the speed of light. Systems must ensure that funds are equitably distributed based on student and school needs. Local and state level officials working with their communities must also become responsible for the wise and efficient use of limited financial resources. By doing so, we are better able to ensure that we give all of our students, and I stress all, access to technology and support, technology training for teachers and students, and facilitate the proper use of technology. So let's begin with access to technology and support. Although schools have made progress in bringing computers and the internet to students and staff, greater access is still needed in order for technology to become a reliable tool for teaching and learning. The availability and quality of technology is terribly inadequate in most schools that service socially economically disadvantaged students. And most classrooms are not the main location in the school where their students use computers. Technology should be a priority for all schools if we are going to adequately prepare our students to be 21st century learners, which include the ability to be critical thinkers, communicators, collaborators, and creators. The majority of our schools do not have adequate integrated technology support. This holds to be especially true in urban schools where at-risk and disadvantaged students attend. Most in department consistently troubleshooting problems that require immediate attention, leaving little to no long-term planning. It seems that IT departments are usually utilized to fix things rather than to plan for future needs. In order for schools with disadvantaged students to move forward in the infusion of technology, it is important that IT departments are properly funded and staffed. We can have the greatest and most innovative hardware and softwares available to our students, but if we don't have the proper people in place to troubleshoot and plan for the long term, we will eventually be owners of products that are simply collecting dust or used as fancy word processors. So let's move on to technology training. I think it goes without saying that it's not enough to fill classrooms with technology and hope that teachers will embrace and adequately utilize the new tools and integrate them into their daily lessons. If there's one thing that schools have learned during this information age, is that without adequate support and motivation, educators will retreat to their old ways of teaching. Speaking from experience, schools cannot wait around and hope their staffs receive training by school districts. Schools themselves must take the initiative to train their teachers in order to properly prepare them to implement technology in their classrooms. We have to keep in mind that our students are very smart and have a certain amount of technological expertise themselves. In order to address the issue of equity, we must make sure that schools that service disadvantaged and at-risk students have the same ability to deliver education in a digital world. So now let's take a look at the use of technology. The use of technology in schools typically involves a teaching to the test approach in which computers take over for teachers and students are given information they are expected to memorize and then are tested on with a multiple choice question test. In more affluent schools, however, students tend to be engaged in more interactive environments in which material is customized based on student learning needs and teachers supplement instruction with technology to explain concepts and stimulate high-level thinking. When students are given access to technology and it is used in thoughtful and well-planned out ways, all students, regardless of their background and socioeconomic status, can make substantial gains in learning and their ability to use technology in a manner that will prepare them for the digital age. Unfortunately, the use of technology in schools serving our most disadvantaged students are usually compromised by limited funding for technology, as well as improper use of technology that happens to be available to them. Students drilled on the proper way to use the new computer available to them on how to take the SBAC is not helping these students become 21st century learners. In order to properly address the disparity that is taking place in the use of technology amongst our disadvantaged students, we must first allow students to interact with technology rather than use the technology to achieve other objectives. The objective should be to interact with technology. Technology shouldn't be the means to the end. Technology should be the means and the ends. Students should be allowed to use technology to explore and create their own content rather than receive and memorize content designed by others. We must remember that our students of today are being stimulated continuously and need to be given the opportunities to create. Otherwise, they become disconnected from technology and the opportunities available to them. Students need one-to-one access. Having that one-to-one access, particularly for disadvantaged students and at-risk students, is critical if they are to become fluent in technology. Our students did not learn how to read without having access to books, so how can we expect them to become fluent with technology if they don't have the access and the opportunity to use it? It's not a coincidence that the best readers in our schools were those that were read to and read at home.
I've just pointed out a few opportunities we can take by using technology to bridge that equity gap amongst our students in our current school systems. By rolling out computer carts and simply putting the technology in the hands of disadvantaged students is not bridging any gap at all. In fact, we might be actually widening it. Thank you for your time.